because as you may know, the Players Association is in negotiations with the owners about the new collective bargaining agreement. There's a proposal on the table that the owners have put forth that wants 17 games and, some other things. And that's the main thing, though, the 17 games and an extra 2 playoff teams. It's interesting because the executive committee that negotiates with the owners is against the deal. They voted 7-4 against it. And then you have the player reps. They voted against it, 17 to, was it against it, Rob?
No, for
17 it. Or for it?
For it. 17, 14,
right.
and no vote.
So the executive committee's against it.
And
the player reps have been for it, 17 for it, 14 against. And Richard Sherman didn't vote.
Right, he was abstained from voting.
And now they're going to throw it out to the majority of players, or all the players. That's 1,700 players or so. And it only takes a simple majority to pass it. So they're going to get it, I think. But we're saying, Rob, that this really is just one example of why the NFL Players Union is the worst of the 3 major sports.
No solidarity.
Baseball is the best.
Yeah.
Basketball would follow that. And then football. And they've got the worst deal. I've talked with football players who look at the players, the contracts that NBA and MLB players get, and they salty.
They should be salty.
Because they're like, I'm a star, and you got this 7th man making more money than me or twice as much money than me in some cases.
Or they look and go, wait a minute. Mike Trout just got $425 million, all guaranteed, and people are jumping up and down when an NFL player gets $50 or $60 million guaranteed. They might get a big deal, Chris, but it ain't all guaranteed for the most part. And even the all guarantee that went to Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins, what was it? 75 or 90? What was it? 90 guaranteed?
84, I believe.
But 84 compared to 425.
No, it's
it ain't even. It's night and day, and yet the NFL has higher revenue. Baseball's revenue's high, but not as high as the NFL, and that is the thing that the players can't come together. You just said it. The executive board they voted it down.
Yep. Go with them. These are the guys
who are in there,
right,
who are looking at all this stuff. There's a reason that they don't believe in it.
Even a lot of the player reps don't know what they're
Do you know what
about.
I'm saying?
And when you open it up to all the players,
oh, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap because they don't know.
Chris,
they're not paying. A lot of them, not all of them, but most of them, I would say,
Chris,
aren't really paying
here's
attention
the problem,
to the details.
And this is why you can't vote like this. It can't be, do you want to get paid or not? People are always going to ratify getting paid. That's what you got to get out of their heads about just taking a deal to get paid. Why in the world? We're talking about Patrick Mahomes, right? If he signs this new deal, $40 million. $40 million divided by 16 is what? Like, he's going for that 17th game. He's only going to get $250,000. How could you accept that?
Right.
How? Why is there a cap? There's not going to be a cap from the networks when they pay for the 17th game.
Oh, no, well, they removed that. They removed that in the recent proposal.
What, the cap?
Yeah, there's no cap anymore. Now that 17th game,
I just saw it down there, so they took it. Oh, okay.
No, the 17th game. So if you make $1 million a game, you're going to get that $1 million for that 17th
But how was that even? How was that even part of a negotiation?
Well, the owners threw it out there, but the players, I give them credit, they did shoot that down at least.
But look, J.J. Watt, right? Richard Sherman. There's a lot. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. They're all no. They're all no. It won't matter though. I'm telling you, it will.
Once you open and look,
once you open
as
up to
much
general
as
membership.
I'm for the players standing up and making a stand and trying to get more than they currently have. I do understand why they're so disunified. Because you're talking about 32 owners versus 1,700 or so players. You're talking about 32 owners, all of whom are filthy rich, wealthy. You're talking about 1,700 players, some of whom are making hundreds of millions or tens of millions or millions, some of whom are going to be in the league for 2 years, 3 years, and they just want to get that $600,000 for that each of those 3 years, or that $1 million for each of those 3 years, and they know they're going to be out of the league. They're expendable. So it's hard to ask those players who are barely in the league and who could be gone in a heartbeat to make that type of sacrifice. I wish they would, but I do understand it. It's hard. When you got that many people, Rob, it's hard to get unity.
I'm sorry. I totally disagree.
Really? It's that easy? You and I disagree every single show. It's two of us.
I'm not talking about that. Yes, I get that. But when you have a common goal and you understand what it is you're fighting for, Chris, and that's what I'm talking about.
They don't have a common goal.
The common goal is that there are so many NFL players who, when it's all over, you're fighting for this money, but 78% of these guys are bankrupt after they get out of the game.
Well, but a lot of that's on them.
Well, but
I mean, Frank, let's keep it real.
But
if you're only making $600,000 for 3 years, don't try to hang with the guy that's making $20 million a year with your clothes and your cars and all that.
But there's a lot of other stuff. I'm just talking about the way that it's set up, that you got to understand that without sacrifice, you're not going to ever get anywhere. People have given up, Chris, time and time again in this world, sacrifice in order to change things.
Those are select individuals.
No, I understand that, but I saw a union do it, and I know they don't have 1,700, and I get the structure.
That makes a difference.
But don't tell me that you can't defeat these owners. I've seen unions close down major corporations, stop air traffic in this country because they wanted more. And all I'm saying is you got to be willing to sacrifice if you want to change it.
How many air traffic controllers are making millions? No, what's the difference? What's the difference?
Chris,
hold on. What's the difference?
I'm not going to buy that.
Listen. What is the difference in the salaries between the highest ranking air traffic controllers and the lowest ranking? I'm with you. I agree with your premise. I'm just saying I understand why these guys aren't unified. You don't have air traffic controllers making tens of millions of dollars and then the rank and file making, $500,000 a year.
But my point is exactly opposite. That the air traffic controllers and the union workers have more to lose. They're only making 30 or 40, and they're giving it up for the betterment of everybody to make their lives better. Those are the people who are just like, dude, I only make $40 million, but I'm out here with $40,000, and I'm out on the street with no job. These guys have big time money. If the union would do it right,
they don't have big time money.
No, but if the union would do it right, they would be able to make it work. You got to have a war chest. When baseball players walked out on the World Series, they were going to be locked out. You know what they said? You're not going to lock us out. We're going to strike. We're going to hurt you when it matters most in the postseason.
Years ago.
No, but
I'm not sure. Would they do that now?
Who runs baseball now?
Would they do that now?
Yes, they would.
Maybe.
Strongest union.
That was 25 years ago.
But they did what
they don't look that strong right now.
It was 100.
They're divided right now on the Astros.
It was 100 years of World Series, and they stopped it because they weren't going to let the owners get the upper hand. All I'm saying is there's got to be a sacrifice, and unless there's a sacrifice, they'll be in the same situation. And I've seen the NFL players. They sold out the rookies. Remember when all the first overall picks used to get the big contracts? They sold those guys out thinking the money was going to trickle down to them. They didn't get that money. They still cut guys and veterans and don't give them. I mean, it's so bad. I don't know how they could look at this and not want to, like at some point, figure out that it will continue. The owners will always have the upper hand if they don't band together.
The owners always had upper hand because you're talking about wealthy owners who don't even make their money from football. They got. Hold on, let me finish. I listen to you. Listen to me. Wealthy owners who are getting money from elsewhere, not that they even need it at this point. And then players some of whom are rich, and then some of whom aren't. And I agree with your premise, Rob. I would love to stick up the fist and say power to the people. And I wish they would do it. I wish they would have done it to stand up for Colin Kaepernick. But I'm just saying, I looking at reality, looking at some of these dudes, whether they came from poverty or not, but a lot of them did come from poverty. And they're saying, I'm a marginal player. I got maybe 3 years to get this 6-figure or 7-figure salary. I'm getting it now. You want me to wait and sit out a year for somebody who I don't know down the road?
Yeah, we just saw.
I'm just saying, a lot of dudes ain't going to do that, no matter how much I might wish they would.
And that's why they're in this situation. We saw the Missouri.
And the situation ain't horrible. That's the thing, too.
It's bad.
It ain't that bad.
It is bad.
It ain't
it's a league that makes $11 billion, and they don't even take care of the health care. That should be automatic off the top of the money for these players.
How in the world? I agree that the health care should be improved, but I've talked with ex-players. I was talking with Chris Canty last week. He didn't think the health care was that bad.
All right,
I don't know enough of the details.
I've talked to enough players that say it's ridiculous. And for them to just, once again, it's always about the bottom line, and they don't do enough for the players.
It's not that black and white. And I agree. That's the thing, too. How bad is it? Are there players that are willing to, it's not ideal. Again, they're well below baseball and basketball. But is it that bad where the player's going to say, I'm going to sit out? If it was that bad, I think a lot of them would just say, I ain't doing it.
No,
but a lot of them were like, okay, it ain't ideal, but I can still get this $600,000. Let's bring in a former player, Bené Ben-Wickery, NFL defensive back, played 5 years in the NFL. Where you at on this, Bené?
For me, honestly, just looking at it, just looking at the deal, I'm hard no on it too. I mean, just really when you think about it, I think we talk about benefits. That's first and foremost. The deal with the benefits, right? It's got some good to it. However, there's certain marks that you have to reach in order to achieve these benefits, right? So if I'm a first-year player, I get injured, I really only have 1 year of benefits. I don't get my 5 years, right?
You got to play 5 years in the league, right?
You have to play 5 years to get the 5 years. You get 10 years in, you get 10 years after that. Then when you think about it, let's say I go through my rehab, I do everything. I'm good. I feel great in my 20s, 30s, right? A lot of this stuff isn't going to affect me until I'm 40 plus.
Well, I both Rob and I agree with you on that. And I agree with Rob's general premise that it takes the sacrifice. What we're debating is, knowing the players, 1,700 players, you weren't a star player, but you play. Like, can guys who are on the margins, can you see them making that type of sacrifice? Or are they going to be like, look, man, I'm going to get mine,
it's
and that's why the unity's not there.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, whenever you have that discrepancy of money and the care, honestly. I mean, if I'm a $15, $20 million dollar guy, I just don't care about certain things that somebody that's making $500,000, $600,000 cares about. So that's just kind of the matter of fact of what has to really come together. And I will say this, when it comes to the union, as a union, right, like, you're the representative of whoever wants to be heard.
Right.
So as a union, I can only say, or I can only go and forward with what, if it's the young guys that's stepping up and they want more upfront money, they want to raise the salary cap for rookie contract deals, then if no vet is going to speak on it, I mean, that's what I have to go to the table with.
Right.
So as a union, you have to really go by with what your group is telling you, and that's kind of where it needs to be a collective thing. The vets need to talk to them.
What I do think, and I'm looking at, some of the things that are on the table, I'm disappointed that I don't see the franchise tag on the table. I'm disappointed that I don't see, at least for running backs, an opportunity to get, out of their rookie deal earlier, because a lot of them get used up in 4 or 5 years before they can get the big money. And to your point, I'm disappointed that I don't see that type of health care benefit. Like, instead of me having to play 5 years, make it 2 or 3 or 1 or whatever it may be. But I'm disappointed at the things that, at least that they don't, like, the owners, this is their proposal. Mm-hmm. So maybe the players would put forth a counter proposal that I think it should deal with some of these issues I'm saying.
So, I mean, we'll see. I really want to see something about this 17th game, because as you guys were talking about, the pay is going to be what your equal pay is, or what your pay prorated. Is for your prorated, right? However, when you look at Week 16 already, those are usually teams at the end of the year that if I already made the playoff, I'm not playing anybody. And if I'm not playing the playoff, I'm cutting everybody and trying to see what the rookies can do.
Right.
And
so
it's
why
a bunch
the
of
need? They think they're trying to say that by adding the 2 extra playoff teams, that's going to make those later games, week 15, 16, 17, mean more because now you got that many more spots in the playoffs for teams. That's what they're trying to say.
It means more, but there's also more injuries too.
That's
so
not
are those guys going to be
don't
there?
Tell me about safety when you want to add another game. I agree with you on that.
So
and I just wanted the number that I saw here. This was in 2010, and we're almost at, what is this, 10 years ago?
Yes.
2010, Major League Baseball players' pension plan reported assets of over $1.3 billion. And that's from approximately 8,200 people. And they had $1.3 billion. That's the war chest you need to be able to fight. That's all I'm saying.
What's happening, y'all? It's Chris Broussard.
I'm Rob Parker.
And we are
The Odd Couple. Check us out as often as you can on YouTube.
And always remember, I'm Oscar, and he's Felix.
Oh, man. Are you serious?